If you were a 90s kid, then odds are you've had a Lunchable or two in your day. The prepackaged snack food, which invites kids to assemble their own sorta meals from a variety of fun ingredients, was the lunchtime treat for a generation of kids. Whose parents believed they were providing a healthier option to processed junk food. But where did these mealtime miracles come from? And just how good for us were they? Well, today, we're assembling the stacked-up history of Lunchables. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other iconic snack foods you would like to hear about. Okay, this one is full of baloney, but in a good way. Thanks to one meat processor, we all know our bologna has a first and last name.
B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
The Oscar Mayer jingle has become as much a part of American culture as the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance. But while people loved singing about the proper spelling of their bologna's name, by the 1980s, they weren't too high on bologna itself. Consumer habits were trending in the direction of healthier food, and bologna, as it turns out, is kind of terrible for you. Sales stagnated along with other lunch meats, and the marketing department at Oscar Mayer went to DEFCON 1. At the time, one of the company's new hires, Dr. Roddy Hawkins, was looking to make an impression. Inspired by the success of Kraft's cheese and crackers product, which came with a little plastic red wand that allowed consumers to spread the cheese on the crackers themselves, Hawkins proposed the concept for the product that would become Lunchables. But Hawkins was really just an idea man, so the concept was then developed by a team that included Bob Drain, Deborah Giarusso, Jeff James, and Tom Bailey. To stress that it was really a meal, the team decided to put the product in a tray that resembled a TV dinner. They kicked around quite a few names for their revolutionary new product, including mini meals, lunch kits, cracker witches, entrees, walk meals, go packs, square meals, fun meals with a Z, snackables, and, we kid you not, smoothie kebabbles. Despite the fact that smoothie kebabbles is objectively the best name, they went with Lunchables. What might have been? Given they were considering names like Fun Meals and Cracker Witches, you'd think Lunchables were to be squarely aimed at children. But you would be wrong. During development, focus groups revealed that Americans were working longer hours and were increasingly having trouble finding time to do things, like make lunch for themselves. And to the folks at Oscar Mayer, the solution was Lunchables. But not surprisingly, hungry adults weren't super excited about building a series of tiny sandwiches on crackers. Children, on the other hand, were a different story. Turns out the young'uns were actually pretty excited about the idea of assembling their own lunch sandwiches. Hey, kids like building things. Just look at how many parents Fortnite has bankrupted. Market research also showed that kids were much more likely to experiment with flavor variations, like the now famous pizza Lunchable.
Lunchables pizza.
Finally, pizza!
As a bonus, research also showed that parents enjoyed giving Lunchables to their kids and thought of it like a present that could be delightfully unwrapped, a marketing angle the company would lean into in its product design. It was win-win-win for parents, kids, and the Oscar Mayer Corporation. And from there on out, Lunchables were for kids. Of course, adults scooping up the interactive lunchtime treat wasn't discouraged. According to the company, somewhere in the neighborhood of a quarter to a third of Lunchables are consumed by adults. Never underestimate the power of prepackaged meals. Also, nothing works up an appetite like assembling your meal like a pile of Legos. When Roddy Hawkins pitched his idea for Lunchables to the higher-ups at Oscar Mayer, he demonstrated his confidence in the proposed product by telling them they didn't even have to pay him a salary if they would just give him 1% of the money Lunchables was going to make. Hawkins was joking, but he probably wished he hadn't been after he saw exactly how much money Lunchables turned out to make. Lunchables were test marketed in Seattle, Washington in 1988, and those tests went so well, the product went national the following year. After that, they were an instant hit, selling over $200 million worth of product in just their first year on supermarket shelves. And things only got bigger from there. Research showed an astounding 50% of consumers that tried Lunchables came back for more. Even Hawkins was surprised, later reflecting, "I never dreamed it would be a big product line as it is today. I just knew it could be successfully done." It wouldn't be long until Lunchables were a ubiquitous sight in schools and on playgrounds across America. So, remember how the whole idea of Lunchables was to essentially trick people into buying unhealthy foods that weren't selling? Well, big surprise, but as a result, Lunchables weren't all that nutritious. And it wasn't just the bologna, which, incidentally, according to the USDA, isn't so much meat as it is a paste-like and batter-like poultry product produced by forcing bones with attached edible tissue through a sieve or similar device under high pressure to separate bone from the edible tissue, just like Ma used to make. On top of that, to save costs, Lunchables came packaged with processed cheese. And to extend shelf life, the crackers were butter crackers. In other words, pretty much every ingredient in Lunchables was the most unhealthy version of that particular food possible in terms of calories, fat, and sodium. Like each ingredient fell into a vat of deliciousness, like a snack food joker. In fact, it was so bad that the CEO of Oscar Mayer's parent company once joked that the healthiest ingredient in Lunchables was the napkin. And to those of you who just asked, what napkin? Ironically, the napkin was later removed to save money. Speaking of cost-cutting, there isn't a 90s kid alive who doesn't get a little teary-eyed thinking about the red plastic stick in pizza Lunchables. What the heck are we talking about? Well, when they were first introduced, pizza Lunchables came packaged with a short red plastic stick that was included to help kids spread the pizza sauce on the crust. But in the early aughts, the red stick mysteriously vanished. Disgruntled consumers threatened revolution, but it did no good. Despite a number of petitions, the stick, which was a victim of cost-cutting like the napkin, was gone for good. And if you're wondering how kids were supposed to spread their sauce on the crust without the stick, the answer is Oscar Mayer didn't know, and Oscar Mayer didn't care. And to be honest, even when we had the stick, most of us just used our fingers anyway. By 1994, after Lunchables had blown up even more in popularity, a prominent pediatric cardiologist tried warning people that they were a, quote, nutritional disaster. Oscar Mayer responded with sarcasm, saying, "There are very few kids out there who will eat rice cakes and tofu." If the cardiologist had a comeback to that, we don't know, because he was presumably pelted to death with Lunchables hurled by hungry children. In all fairness, Oscar Mayer has made several attempts to make Lunchables healthier. For example, at one point they attempted to add carrots and apple slices, but the new ingredients would quickly go bad in the container, and variations that replaced the candy with things like yogurt or fruit simply didn't sell. The free market has spoken, and it doesn't want tofu and rice cakes. Anyone who hasn't been permanently banned from the grocery store for the past 40 years is probably familiar with the standard Lunchables and the legendary pizza Lunchables. But those two were just the tip of the iceberg. Alternate Lunchables configurations include things like extra cheesy pizza, ham and cheddar with vanilla cream cookies, turkey cheddar and crackers, and turkey and American cracker stackers with double-stuffed Oreo cookies. Noteworthy variations from Lunchables past include things like mini burgers, which included 2 small burgers, mustard, a Capri Sun, and some Reese's Pieces. You didn't have to heat up the burgers, but people didn't exactly rave about their taste. Turns out room temperature burgers are a tough sell. There were also Lunchables waffles, which included waffle sticks, syrup, icing, sausage, orange juice, and a cereal bar. It sounds like enough glorious sugar to power any kid through an entire school day, but based on reviews, it didn't quite stack up. Lunchables mini tacos came with tortillas, beef, cheese, taco sauce, a drink, and Nerds candies. And there was an Italian-style chicken variety, which was basically just cold chicken nuggets with marinara sauce and mozzarella cheese. We're veering dangerously into airplane food territory over here, Oscar Mayer. And of course, the popularity of the Lunchables name led to some experimentation with spin-off products. Can't leave money stacked up on the table like so many cracker sandwiches. For example, there were Lunchables Fun Stacks, which included things like s'mores, fudge brownie, marshmallow crispy squares, Chips Ahoy soft cookie and frosting, and Oreo cookies and frosting. We have to admit, cookies and frosting do sound fun. In 2017, the world bought nearly $1.4 billion worth of Lunchables, which is enough to make anyone consider a career in lunch meat. These days, there are about 40 different types available. Popular varieties include chicken pizza, ham and cheddar cracker stackers, pepperoni and mozzarella with crackers, pizza and treatza, mini hot dogs, and ham and American cracker stackers. And just in case there remains any doubt that Oscar Mayer has completely moved on from trying to make the brand nutritious, there are also Lunchables Dunkables. These snacks include varieties like pretzel twists with peanut butter spread and choco chips, as well as matzo sticks with marinara and breadcrumbs. If that doesn't sound bad enough for your waistline, we recommend Lunchables Grilled Cheesies, which sounds like a joke but are all too real. They also come in 2 flavors, original and pepperoni pizza sandwich. And then there's Lunchables Uploaded, which are basically the same thing as regular Lunchables, but with bigger portions, different package art, and a name that sounds like one of the Matrix sequels. In 2023, Oscar Mayer managed to get Lunchables, their fun but admittedly unhealthy line of junk food, approved as an option for school lunch menus across America. If you're wondering how they pulled that off, according to the Washington Post, the weak standards that govern federally subsidized school lunches illustrate the power of the food industry in Congress and the outsized influence of food companies. Higher ingredient costs, labor shortages, and tighter budgets have backed many schools into a corner. As a result, executives at Oscar Mayer's parent company have estimated the educational food services market to be an untapped opportunity worth $25 billion. So far, there are 2 varieties available: turkey and cheddar cracker stackers and extra cheesy pizza. And in all fairness, the Lunchables they're selling to schools aren't the same ones you get in the supermarket. They've been reformulated to meet federal guidelines about what can be served at schools, so they are technically healthier than regular Lunchables. Long story short, they have a higher protein content, but a lot more sodium. As you can probably imagine, childhood nutrition advocates and many teachers do not agree with the decision to make Lunchables available in school cafeterias. But do we really need to bring up the rice and tofu example again? Until health food starts coming in fun packaging, featuring a mascot riding a skateboard, kids are gonna go with Lunchables every time. And that's the way the Oreo cookies and frosting crumble. So what do you think? What was your favorite Lunchable? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other Weird History food videos.